Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Vance. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We'll cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we'll give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have a very, very serious show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. So yesterday, some pretty disturbing news dropped out of the NBA, where Pablo Torre basically dropped a story where it was going after the Clippers' Kawhi Leonard and Clippers owner, Steve Ballmer, for basically trying to pay Kawhi Leonard under the table through some kind of like shell company or something, some company that wasn't really functional, and pay him $28 million to essentially do nothing as a way to circumvent the NBA salary cap. So it became this big story. People reacted to it. We reacted to it as well, right? Although one, I don't even know what to call this guy. Man, I know that you ain't talking about Kawhi Leonard. Meanwhile, he was like 6-7 hours late, not realizing we had already discussed it. But when I spoke about it, I was a bit apathetic about it. I was like, okay, man, like whatever, man. If they did something wrong, let them pay the penalty and let's move. I don't care one way or the other. So I woke up this morning and I came across some news from Awful Announcing where apparently former Dallas Mavericks majority owner, Mark Cuban called out Pablo Torre for essentially misrepresenting the situation. And he said that this situation won't end well for Pablo Torre. And I'm like, wait, what? He went on Twitter and he posted about it. But I think it's important that we give people kind of a basic summary of what Pablo's findings were, because it can be it can be quite complicated and there are a lot of moving parts. So yesterday he went on the Dan Patrick show to essentially explain his findings and explain basically what this whole story is about. So take a listen to Pablo here explain everything to, on the Dan Patrick show.
And the stuff here is kind of wild. This is a story that started because of a company called Aspiration, which no one really remembers, in fairness, but they had signed some of the most famous people in the world to be endorsers. Leonardo DiCaprio, Drake, Robert Downey Jr., Cindy Crawford, Cindy Crawford's daughter, all people who endorsed this climate change company that planted trees to zero out your carbon footprint, like good guys, only for those same good guys to have since been embroiled in what has been concurrent Department of Justice and SEC investigations that have resulted in guilty pleas by one of the co-founders of the company, a prominent Democratic politician and donor named Joe Sandberg, who happens to have also been a buddy of Steve Ballmer. And Steve Ballmer, in this story, we establish and report using over 3,000 documents and 7 sources from inside the company, putting $50 million of his own money into Aspiration. Very long windup. I apologize for taking so long. Here's the punchline. The endorsement deal that was the biggest, that Aspiration signed, given all those A-list Avengers, happened to be Kawhi Leonard. $28 million, more than 4 times the rest of the celebrity roster combined. And the kicker, you might argue, is that he didn't do anything. It was a no-show job, did nothing, wasn't obligated to do anything, which we can explain if you want. But the point being, it was a secret deal that no one knew about until now.
NBA have anything to say yet?
Not yet. Not yet. I should say Steve Ballmer and the Clippers, when we asked them for comment, they said that this was provably false, that they denied it. They did not know at the time that we had over 3,000 pages of documents and 7 sources. I look forward to them proving the falsehoods that they allege. I can tell you, though, from the NBA perspective, what I've been told this morning is that it's been a bit of panic over there. I'm told that they did not know about this deal between Steve Ballmer, or at the very least, between Aspiration and Kawhi Leonard, with the influence of Steve Ballmer, according to our reporting, being the driving force of it. So, yeah, it's going to get a little messy, Dan, over there, I think.
What rule did the Clippers break?
So salary cap circumvention is something that the NBA has decided to, in previous statements, take very seriously. So Kawhi Leonard has only signed max contracts. So signed the first one coming off of Toronto. The extension in 2021 is what lines up with the timeline here that we are explaining, the $28 million above and beyond the max deal he signed. He signed another extension just last year. And so the thing here is, and this is I think a bit of the character study, Steve Ballmer is the richest owner in all of sports in the world. He's the sixth richest man on the planet. And so if you know anything about how the Clippers have operated, right? The Intuit Dome, a building, as he says, built in his own image for hardcore basketball fans like him, using personal, private money, no taxpayer funds. He is a guy who's expanded his front office, hired a zillion people because that is uncapped. You can spend all of the money on that. But the most important thing this hardcore basketball fan needed, of course, taking over the team from noted bad guy Donald Sterling, is a franchise superstar. And so the rule alleged to have been broken here is that cardinal rule. You got to stay within the salary cap for your actual players. And seven sources say that was deliberately what was not done.
But was there a way that they could argue that Kawhi Leonard did represent the company? He was a name that was attached. Like, I'm just looking at, if I'm the Clippers, how do I get deniability?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because typically, there's this funny phrase in courtrooms. You hear like, the absence of evidence is not evidence. Well, in this case, he was endorsing a company. And the absence of evidence is the absence of any endorsement. No tweets, no retweets, no favorites, no likes, no appearances, no nothing. According to the internet, according to the sources we have, nothing.
Excellent. So you heard what he had to say, right? So I had to watch that yesterday. There's an even longer show where he discusses it, where he breaks it down. I haven't seen that full show, but I think it's important because maybe some people may be a little bit confused about what's going on here. Well, it seems like Mark Cuban has been doing some serious due diligence, and he feels like Pablo Torre is going to get himself in trouble here because he doesn't really seem to understand the full scope of this story. And we want to get into what he had to say on Twitter. But before we even get into his comments, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Game Time. One of the things I love the most is making unforgettable memories with family and friends. And one of the things I hate the most is overpaying for tickets only to find out that there was a better deal out there. That's one of the reasons I started using Game Time. Game Time is the easy go-to app for last-minute tickets to sports, concert, and theater events across 60+ states in the US and Canada. Game Time saves me time, money, and stress by curating only the best deals, so I'm not wasting a whole bunch of time scrolling through overpriced tickets. Game Time Picks is my favorite tool. It highlights the best value seats instantly. No more guesswork, no more wasting time. For example, I'm really looking forward to watching some of these NBA Summer League games. Here's what I like to do. I choose between the cheapest deal, the great deal, or the amazing deal. Once you select the ticket you want, you can use their panoramic seat view to ensure you know exactly what you're getting before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and use redeem code CLNS for $20 off. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do now is we want to actually get into what he had to say here on Twitter. So this is a post that he published yesterday, and it has 6.5 million views. And he said the following. This is Mark Cuban. I'm on Team Ballmer. As much as I wish they circumvented the salary cap, first, Steve isn't that dumb. If they did try to feed Kawhi Leonard money, knowing what's at stake for him personally and his team, do you think he would let the company go bankrupt? Knowing all creditors would be visible to the world? Now, what he's talking about there is maybe people that invested in the company, the creditors, people that gave the company money. So he's saying if Ballmer was aware that this information was going to come out, because when a company goes bankrupt, that's when you start kind of peeling through the layers to understand what led to this, who are all of this stuff, the creditors, then he would be a part of it. So if anything, he would have ensured that the company stayed afloat, even if they weren't making turning a profit or anything. Mind you, this is the richest owner in the sports in the world. He's amongst the 10 richest people on planet Earth, right? So him giving that company money, it's like he wouldn't even lose a second of sleep over it. Continues on. They got scammed by Aspiration, along with many others, crimes for which they pleaded guilty last week. Scammers do scammy things. They did a $300 million sponsorship deal with the Clippers in 2021. That's a huge deal. The better the team does, the more valuable the sponsor has. The more value the sponsor has. It actually makes perfect sense that if they stole money from investors and want the Clippers to succeed, why not give the stolen money to help keep their best player? It's sad that Pablo Torre didn't take time to find out how these scammers pulled off their scam. The idea that the default is Ballmer is the bad guy is going to backfire on him. Now, if you go a little bit further down, you'll see a picture of Mark Cuban posting an image of Aspiration in the Clippers dome, and you see them right there into a dome. And it says, LA Clippers signed $300 million plus arena sponsorship deal with Green Bank Aspiration, whatever. It then goes a little further down. He posts again, U.S. probes firm trapped a tap to turn LA's new basketball arena green. You have that. Then there's a press release from the Justice Department. And I'm not going to read through it because this is a very complicated case, at least to me. And then one person posted, did you watch the entire podcast and see the literal mountains of evidence? Cuban then responded by saying, I did. How much did they discuss that Aspiration was run by scammers? How much did they question that maybe they could be behind this? So this is what Cuban is saying. Now, there's another aspect to this, and I want to just say this quickly. I don't fully understand what's going on here. Pablo and these guys spent months researching this stuff. Cuban has been reading up on this stuff a lot more than I have because our lives are totally different. But there's an article here from Yahoo Sports that says Kawhi Leonard reportedly paid $28 million for a no-show job with the Clippers as a way to get around the salary cap NBA investigating. Then you have this part where it basically said the Los Angeles Clippers and owner Steve Ballmer accused of paying star Kawhi Leonard $28 million for a no-show job as a way to circumvent the NBA salary cap, according to a report by Pablo Torre. An NBA spokesperson told Yahoo Sports on Wednesday that the league is aware of Torre's report and is commencing an investigation. Torre laid out, so it went on there. They even spoke about a little bit further down in the article. It says Torre attempted to find any evidence that Leonard ever marketed for or endorsed the company, but came up empty. A clause in one of the contract documents between Aspiration and KL2 Aspire LLC stated Leonard could decline to proceed with any action desired by the company, essentially giving Leonard the ability to get paid without doing anything. Another clause stated that Leonard would only be paid if he remained a member of the Clippers. Now get this. Correspondence from Aspiration to Kawhi Leonard's company was sent to Dennis Robinson, Leonard's advisor, who was investigated by the NBA in 2019 for asking for impermissible benefits. The NBA completed that investigation into Robinson, also known as Uncle Dennis, and found no evidence the Clippers granted illegal benefits to Leonard while pursuing him in free agency. So, where am I going with this entire segment here? We have what was reported yesterday, which was Kawhi Leonard is a dirty guy because he accepted money under the table, essentially. And Ballmer is a dirty guy because he facilitated Kawhi Leonard receiving this money. You have that part of the story, right? And then the Clippers being probed and all of that. Then you have what Mark Cuban is saying is like, no, bro, there's a deeper layer to this. They were dealing with scammers. Ballmer wouldn't be this stupid to do something like that. Now, if in fact these guys are scammers, then we now have to ask, who was involved in the scam? Was Kawhi Leonard part of the scam? No, or maybe he was unaware of it. And that they may have scammed some of their clients. You have that aspect of it. And then you have this last part, which is, well, is Kawhi and these guys a bad guy? Now Stephen A. Smith referred to his uncle and all this stuff in the back and the past, requesting this and that. But now we have this report saying that they did an investigation into all of that during 2019 and they didn't find any issue. So what I'm saying is the case hasn't been concluded yet. Yesterday, we all came to the conclusion that, Kawhi Leonard is this, Steve Ballmer is this. But what we're finding out is that there's more information that we don't have. In fact, we're basing a lot of our opinion based off of Pablo Torre's findings. And Cuban is saying there's more to the story. And we're just reporting that. You guys let me know what you think about it in the comments. We catch you on the next show. Peace.